Good evening, friends, and welcome to evening prayer with Trinity United Church, located in Prince George, British Columbia. Wherever you find yourself this evening, we're really glad that you're able to join with us for evening prayer. For us, evening prayer serves as a way of grounding ourselves in the Christian tradition, of acknowledging the realities of the day that has been, and also embracing the joys that have been presented to us. It's a way of making sure that we don't sugarcoat what's going on in the world and yet don't only stay in the things that bring us fear and anxiety and anger and grief and pain and frustration, but we also need the things that bring us hope and joy and love and wonder and compassion and courage and justice. We name that those things exist for all of us all the time, and sometimes it's very easy to focus on one. That tends to show up in the evening news cycle or in their power in our lives and take away some of the power that exists for the other things. And so this evening we join together for evening prayer. We name the realities of this day that for some it's been a day of cautious optimism. Yes, things aren't back to what they were. Some of us hope they never get back to what they were because it wasn't that great a world for everyone. But the curve seems to be flattening, seems to be decreasing. Fewer cases are being discovered, and even though we know there are a lot of presumed cases out there that were never actually diagnosed, but probably are, we still know that we're making a difference. That the sacrifices we've been making, the things that have made life a little harder, a little more challenging, they're actually making a difference. We also name that there continues to be an increase in in close proximity to one another. We also know that it's a challenging time for folks that can't share the fullness of their humanity with those they care about, with their families, their friends, their coworkers, their schoolmates. It's still a challenging time to be self-isolating. There's a very real temptation that actually becomes isolation. It's a challenging time to be physically distant from one another when loved ones die, or their earthly journeys are in their last moments and we can't get there. We can't go and hold their hand and give them a hug, kiss their forehead. It's also hard when you're grieving and you can't do it with the community of people that normally support you. Or when you have a family member who's grieving and you can't go and give them that hug and let them cry on your shoulder, and let them know that you're there. There are certain things technology can never replace. We can get close seconds, but it never really takes the place of crying on someone's shoulder. And so we still have challenging times ahead of us. We still have days of social distancing ahead of us, days of restricted movement, days when it's going to be really hard to not get together with folks, to not go and open the cottage, to not make that trip just down the road. And yet, in the midst of it all, I found a Facebook post today of leftover AIDS memorial quilt fabric. It's now being turned into face masks. That which was given to memorialize those who had died from AIDS is now being turned into something that can help protect people from a different virus. There's just something about that in my mind. Something that reminds me that God is still at work in creation, still at work in us. It's far from perfect, but there are signs of perfection. That's the piece that gives me hope, that grounds me, that gives me energy, that helps me realize I'm not alone, and neither are you. And so this evening we relight our Christ candles. We place them in windows or on balconies. Maybe it's nice enough where you find yourself that you can put it out on your back deck, somewhere where folks can see it, where you can see it. And its flickering flame becomes a reminder that even as the shadows grow, the light of Christ can never be overcome. It's a reminder to the people that see it that there is still light, no matter how deep the evening, no matter how long the shadows are cast. We fight. Staying creative. And here when and others that can be its strongest, embody what it means. Plexiglass, where we don't get disgruntled when the clerk at the cash register tells us to step back on the line or stay on the dot, or just reminders. Don't get too close to the person in front of you. And so we join together in prayer. I invite you to take a moment and call to mind those people and places and events that you would hold in prayer this evening. Picture them clearly. Maybe even whisper their names. Call them into the space that you find yourself in. And allow those people and places and events to move from your head into your heart so that we can hold them in prayer. Gracious God, we give you thanks for this day, for the wonders of creation, the changing of the seasons, the palette of infinite color with which you paint across the sky. Help us to see your presence, to see your grace and wonder in every day. Help us to see the image of Christ reflected back to us in the face of people we see, even if it is 2 meters away. Help us to marvel at the plants that are starting to come up through the ground, at the buds that are opening on trees. Help us to remember that community is stronger than any virus. When we hold one another and comfort one another, care for one another, seek justice for one another, value equity for one another. Help us to be your people, O God, to not allow ourselves to only see that which brings us fear and anxiety and anger and grief, pain, frustration, sadness, but root us in that which brings life and love and joy and peace and justice and hope. Bind us to you so that we never lose sight of that flame, that spark that you have planted in each of us. And so this evening we pray for those who keep our communities running, those who keep goods moving across borders, across countries, across oceans. We pray for those in the last line of defense against this COVID virus. We pray for our healthcare systems and those who work in them, and all the people who go to work each day, taking risks for themselves and their families. We pray for those who are putting the final touches on worship for tomorrow, and those who have already worshiped this day. We pray for teachers and students and parents who are trying to figure out what Monday will bring their way. We pray for our leaders, for wisdom amidst complex situations and constantly evolving realities. We pray for those who experience food insecurity and housing insecurity and healthcare insecurity. We pray for those who've been laid off and those who've received temporary layoffs. For the small business owners, especially for those who have already determined that there's no way back for their business in this COVID world. We pray for those who aren't safe this evening, for those who aren't safe any evening, who live with a constant sense of fear and dread and unease, never sure what's going to happen to them next. And so this evening, oh God, we pray for people and places and events that we carry in our hearts. We pray for Jocelyn, Darlene, Leo, Steve G, Carol, Carla and Wally, Ray and Marion, Roseanne, Aaron, Lee and her family as they grieve Dave's long death. Courtney, our newborn baby, Rachel and her baby, Joanne, Karen L, Miles, Jim and Sylvia, Rita T and her family as they grieve Mike's death, Carmen and Brad as they grieve Cam's death, the Pond family, Neil's family as they grieve his death, Drew and his family as they grieve Gene S.'s death, for Laura B. and the Reverend Al Bennett and his family. Give us courage, O God. Give us strength and perseverance, and help us walk this path that is set before us, trusting that we do so grounded in your hope, your presence, your peace, your love, compassion, justice, understanding, so that together we might reach out beyond the physical distancing and the self-isolation and embody what it means to be an Easter people, a Jesus people, right here, right now. Amen. Friends, on behalf of the people at Trinity United Church in Prince George, British Columbia, we hope this evening finds you in a space where you can be safe, where you can be calm, and where you can be community. If those things aren't true for you, then please reach out. I guarantee there is someone there. And if that is true for you, then please reach out. Be that presence of Christ for someone else, and let them be the presence of Christ for you. One way or the other, we hope this evening brings you a gentle rest that nurtures you in body, mind, and spirit. And that together we can be the people of Christ. The people of Trinity United Church in Prince George, British Columbia gather every evening at 8 p.m. Pacific for evening prayer. We'd love for you to join us.